Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today's Eberron deep dive video is going to be on the nation of Aundair. Let's go. Aundair. Aundair is located north of Breland, and they had been hit particularly hard in the last war, as in they lost a lot of territory, which we'll cover a little bit later in the video. Now, one of the key factors if you're running a game in Aundair is they are very fashionable. In fact, they're more fashionable and care more about fashion than almost any other nation in Corvair. So glamour weave is very, very popular there. A lot of people love to wear it and flaunt it. So that's a key difference from what you would normally see in a lot of fantasy towns and villages and things like that. So when you're running games in Aundair, make that a keynote. I think it's really, really important, and it adds a lot of flavor. Another thing that Aundair has and loves to flaunt is magic. So even the farmers have access to a lot more base magics. Their farming equipment would be animated, so if your party's traveling along the countryside, they might see rakes raking leaves by themselves, farm equipment doing the work just as normal, and no one really attending. So it adds a lot of flavor to the nation. And as well, they sort two schools of magic. So there is the University of Wynard, which is your more traditional base education, and it is a renowned university in all of Corvair. Then there is the Arconics. They are floating towers, which all of the deepest and most intelligent research on magic happens, and is highly regarded among all of the wizards as kind of the top dog there. So when they're coming near passage, I do believe, the Arconics, you'll be able to see the floating towers on large rocks up above, and it really pictures a beautiful scenery, which is going to be different than anything else you're going to see in Eberron. So that's really, really nice. But as well, so enrollment in the schools have been waning during the last war, obviously, because they're one nation against the others. None of the others would want to go there. But since the Treaty of the Thronehold was signed, more and more people are actually trying to get back there. But that also leads to a problem. 100 years of war ending does not mean immediate peace. So now the schools are mixing up all of the different nations that are trying to go there and learn, but those prejudices are still there. So now there's talks of infighting between the wizards and such at the Arconics, and to some degree at the university as well. So that's a nice little flavor element that you can use, but also use as a basis for your adventure. Perhaps there's different factions within the Arconics, if you want to run an adventure in Aundair, that each want their own thing done, and your party would have to choose which faction they want based upon what they say. So you can do a little bit of hearsay and things like that. Well, he said this, and they said this, and this, and that. So you could implement intrigue along with the adventure, and kind of move along there. But I think there's a lot of possibility and a lot to work with just with those two schools. Now, the Queen of Aundair has made some difficult decisions. They lost half of their land to the Eldine Reaches when the farmers there sided with the druids of the Towering Wood. So Aundair immediately lost 1/5 of its population, mostly all farmers, and 1/2 of its land, all farmlands for the most part. So food and agriculture is now a deep worry with the current citizens of Aundair. So there are contentions that are rising between the Eldine Reaches and Aundair as well. A lot of people are talking about trying to take it back, either by diplomacy or by force. So perhaps your party could try and negotiate with the Eldine Reaches a little bit more, and things like that, trying to reach an agreement. But another thing that Aundarians are very salty about is Thrain. Thrain took hold of the first city that was designated and built in Aundair, which is Thalios. And during the war, they took it and they occupied it, and it was part of their land after the Treaty of the Thronehold. So a lot of citizens as well want to take that back. So they've got on the west side, they've got the Eldian Reaches, and on the east, they have Thrain. Two contenders which they are not happy with at all. And there's a lot of different, so one, Thrain being the religious kind of centerhold with the Silver Flame and the Sovereign Host. Thrain deals more with the Silver Flame, and then of course there's the Sovereign Host, which is basically everywhere. But when we get into the religions of Eberron, we'll cover that a little bit further. So now there's two contentions to the east and west, and there's a lot of pressure on the Queen to make moves, make decisions, rally an army, send diplomatic forces, and things like that. So there's a lot of contention within Aundair, which is something that you as a DM can absolutely work with and have a lot of fun with. Let's move on to some notable places. So as I said, Thelios may have been the first city in Aundair. Fairhaven is its capital. And Fairhaven is a city like enveloped and wrapped in magic, made more beautiful by illusions and magical incantations all around. And it is well known within all of the nations that Fairhaven is one of the most beautiful cities in all of Eberron. So if you want to kind of give that magical feeling of, let's say, Disney, like really, you know, the idea of Disney in a child, the mind's eye of a child, you could really give that to your players through the city of Fairhaven and have a lot of fun with it. Another place of note is the island of Stormhome, which the Queen has given full governing authority over to House Lorandar. House Lorandar we haven't covered yet with the Dragon Marks, but they build the airships, and they're kind of the kings of the sky type of deal. And they have made a full vacationing resort on that island of Stormhome, and they get to govern it however they want. So there is a lot of clandestine behavior, if you so would. There's a lot of back alley deals and things like that like to go on there. So if you kind of want that high society but at on an island ordeal, you could have a lot of fun with adventure ideas and hooks whenever your players go there. Personally, I think that would be more of a roleplay intrigue kind of story arc, less monster combat, but who knows, the players can kind of go anywhere and do anything, right? So now you have Fairhaven, which has been covered, a beautiful city enveloped in magic. Stormhome, the Arconics, the University. There's a lot of great things in Aundair that you can really, really work with and have fun. But my opinion when you're dealing with Aundair is you're going to have to step up the nobility a little bit. The nobility factor of your campaign. Everything's got to be like a class higher. The clothes is nicer. There's less just peasants that are kind of just poor. Magic is the way of thought. It's magic over mundane type of deal, right? Like you don't just, you're raking the leaves by yourself, like really? Like that type of mentality within all of the kind of NPCs that you have. But now you have all of the other nations moving back to Fairhaven and Passage and the Arconics and the University, which is starting to butt heads. So there's a lot of fun intrigue and roleplay that you can have there. Aside from that, Aundair is kind of a little bit more like Breland. It's very like human elf, human dwarf kind of centric, along with gnomes and halflings, and your basic core races for Eberron can all be found there as well. If you're a player that is thinking of being a wizard, a sorcerer, or would like to learn more about magic, perhaps a backstory involving Aundair, the Arconics, perhaps you try to enroll, things like that to kind of add in and add some flavor to your backstory. And like as a DM, like I said, there's a lot of intrigue possibilities with this nation and a lot of diplomacy options that you can run with story arcs and things like that. So when going into Aundair, to make it more flavorful, work with those contentions within the Arconics, within the University, and within the nation itself. The citizens being mad at the Eldian Reaches and Thrain, and if you utilize those, you're going to find that you're going to be able to create a lot more fun NPCs and really work the intrigue and the roleplay and the diplomacy options into your campaign, which might need a breath of fresh air from a lot of combat. I don't know. It's your game, run it however you want, but this is definitely a good option if you're a DM trying to introduce a little bit more of those elements to the game. And yeah, I stream on Twitch every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Come on by, hang out, ask your DM questions. I love talking D&D basically all the time. On Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern is the Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign. Come by, check it out, say hi. We are very, very close as of the recording of this video. There is a game tonight, so we might hit that 50 followers tonight, which means that the week after would be the Rime of the Frost Maiden dice giveaway that I'm doing. So if you would like to join that, give me a follow on Twitch, link down below. And please like, comment, subscribe if you'd like this type of content. And if you'd like to support this channel directly, the Patreon link is below. It does go a long way, and there's a lot of D&D goodies for people there, and I'm trying to put out new stuff all the time. Aside from that, I hope your next session is a fantastic one. We'll see you next week.